Well, hello everyone, it's New Year's Eve as I speak into the microphone right now and record this video for you all. It's going to be the start of a new year just tomorrow, and that means the time has come to do a Guild Wars 2 account tour. So it was about, 5 years ago now that I did the first one of these. I basically created a video where I just went through all the different things I'd acquired on the various characters on my account, who I considered my main, the things I was working for, and people really enjoyed it. It was a video that kind of demonstrated to everyone how many different things there were to go for in Guild Wars and to be inspired about various objectives. Obviously, I play this game a massive amount, so it might be interesting to see the kind of things that I do and go for to sustain me and keep me interested. So yeah, I did one of those many years ago, and basically every other year now I've done another account tour. When I make one, I tend to get a few months later lots of requests for new ones, and well, here we go. So this one is for the end of 2018, and where it's different to the last one I did is that a new expansion is obviously released. We are now in the Path of Fire days. Last time you saw me doing this, it was just before Path of Fire came out and we were in Living World Season 3, so a lot of my objectives and things were revolving around Aurora and completing those Living World episodes. We've now had an entire expansion dealing with mounts and all that good stuff, and we're pretty deep into the following Living World season after that as well. So how has Path of Fire affected my account and the things I go for? Well, I guess we'll see. And I guess the first big thing to talk about is the character you see I'm on right now. I'm in, of course, the expansion itself, Amnoon Oasis. This character I actually very, very rarely play anymore, and I really don't consider a main. I was probably saying this on the previous account tour too. A lot of you guys are kind of very entrenched in certain opinions of what you think I am and how I play the game and whatnot, and you're probably quite wrong on those. Namely, that you think I'm an Ellie main and an Ellie player. I really haven't touched this character very much, but for consistency with the other account tours, I thought I'd start here at least. In fact, if we do look at my story journal, you'll probably see, as far as the most recent Living World season, I've been really spotty at best as to whether I've even played the patches on it. I'm usually multi-classing majorly. If you have seen my previous tours, you'll know that for many years now, I've been in a state where I've got, heaps and reams of ascended armor that I can transfer onto any, or legendary armor and legendary weapons that I can transfer onto any character now, and it kind of opens up the freedom of what I want to play and when. But I did want to start on this character. I guess what we'll do before running through the roster of what I actually am playing is we'll start somewhere basic, and that's with the bank. And I'll just show you the kind of items I've got there and what's going on. It's a bit of a mess, and honestly, this isn't going to be the most interesting part of the video, so let's just get it out of the way with early. The top tab here is supposed to be super adventure and miscellaneous crafting items. It's a bit of a mess right now, and in addition to it, what you'll see are a lot of weird items. Most of you won't have any idea what they are. These are quite rare PvP rewards that you purchase in order to build PvP legendary armor. So we're going to see when we get to it in a second. PvP is a big thing I've been doing recently, and I'm kind of getting every single reward in the game as far as PvP is concerned, and getting legendary armor is just another thing on top. So I'm kind of at that point, and that's why I have these 5 stars of glory and the Mistcore fragments and stuff. Once I've got 6 of each, I'll be able to make some armor. I also have a leftover Mystic Tribute. The legendary weapon crafting for the expansions, Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire, is actually kind of annoying to me because it forces me to do either Dragon Stand or Hearts around POF, and I can't be bothered with that. So I've half built some stuff for legendary weapons, but not really gone any further, and this is kind of sitting around. This Krautkite ore might be quite interesting, and when we come and look at my collections here, I type Krautkite, you'll see I've got 297 ingots and 2,000 of the base material just sitting around. If you guys don't know what this was a big material that came with the first map of this season in Istan. And the reason I have tons of this is not actually that I farm Istan. Istan is well known as a big gold maker of this expansion. It's what most people do. In fact, I farm that so little I don't even have the achievements associated with completing the various meta event objectives there. I've barely ever farmed Istan. The reason I have a lot of these is because I picked it as a PvP reward track and just kept piling them up. And these are basically used for making a weapon set known as the Astral and the Stellar stuff. So if I come here, and this has been one of my big objectives this year, to get all of the Astral, which I'm finished with, and that takes a long time, and to get all of the Stellar stuff too. And I'm doing this purely through PvP. You'll notice I've got a lot of the light armor, not light armor. Well, I guess, you know, caster weapons and things done, like staff and scepter and focus and stuff. But yeah, this skin set I really do enjoy. I like him a lot, and this has been one of my main goals for a long time, honestly, just building these up. And that's why you see that I've got Kraukatai up there, kind of a long-term objective. It disappoints me there's no collection. There's not a rare collection for having finished the whole set or whatever, because if there was, I think a lot of people would have had a cool objective, you know, ever since the season began. Anyway, that's the top tab. The second tab is just boosters and some old legacy boosters that I'm reticent to use because, you know, special items that I don't want to get rid of anymore. Also, over here we have experience scrolls. So last time you saw me, I would have only had a few characters that had birthdays. Well, I'm in a place now where I've got so many characters on my account that hit different birthdays. It's kind of crazy. Like, I've got 20 instant level 20 scrolls, 7 more, but they don't stack here. 11 that take me to level 30. I've got 5 scrolls that would instantly boost me to level 50. An experience scroll here to 60. I got a lot. And also, you'll notice my account slots up here. This will be a different thing we'll talk about in a second. I got just thousands of tomes of knowledge. I have a mule character with loads of them as well. Levels are just not a thing in the game to me anymore. And you might think that's really exciting and cool. It's really not. It's of no consequence whatsoever. And they're just kind of stacking up. But hey. Next, we also have black line items. I'm not one to spend too much money in the gem store, but I think I have a bit more recently. And when I open chests and get random stuff, I tend to just dump them in here and very rarely, if ever, use them. I guess these upgrade extractors look pretty good these days, but I'm not in PvE enough to spend them. There was a big update to runes and sigils, and that's why I say that this year. But yeah, so we've got that. Then things get really messy. This is originally my legendary crafting tab and leftover ascended stuff for the legendary ring that is upcoming, we hope, probably in the finale. Episode 5 is what's due as I speak now, but maybe by the end of the season we should have that. And then scrolling down, it's just a mess basically of untouched ascended rings and weapons and obsidian stuff that I've got from rounding out PvP collections and stuff, just dumped in there. There used to be a sense to this. There now is no longer one. It's useful, though, when a new raid wing comes out and I want to kit out all my characters on different builds so that when we do progression, I'm just ready. But until then, it's just kind of a mess. Scrolling down, I've still got these miscellaneous items. I talked about these a lot on previous tours, but these are very old. Like these, for example, existed maybe only a week or two after launch and then were deleted from the game. And the idea was these were boons you could buy from vendors around the open world that the devs then were later selling on the gem store. It's really kind of weird, but you'll see some old mechanics here, T5 might and stuff. I won't turn this video into a big discussion about legacy mechanics. 6 empty runes from Heart of Thorns. A lot of this will be the same as 2 years ago. I really haven't touched or added to this in much of any way here, except there's just a ton of ascended stuff. You'll notice, though, I do have more tabs as we scroll. It's just more stuff just sitting around. Full sets of unstat selected armor just waiting to be, you know, assigned at any point that I actually care to have them. You'll notice that I've got a lot of tabs here. They extended the amount of bank tabs you can have, and I've just gradually built those up. And also, a new feature came to the game, Novelties, which really freed up a ton of bank slots for me. So I've got all this space down here. I have a random legendary medium armor piece here, which I wanted for the skin, and it's just kind of sitting around. But in general, my progression for all that legendary acquisition stuff is done here, and there's not too much more to talk about. The very bottom tab are some items for teleporting around to, like, various Season 3 maps. This is now in my bank, because Season 3 is all said and done, and I've got all the achievements for it, so I never really go to any of those maps ever anymore. So I just have it there. I have the Captain's Airship Pass. Sometimes I'll use this. Since Path of Fire came out, though, I spend more time at the Lily of the Ellen, which is the expansion exclusive area, just because I like being in Path of Fire regions. It's nighttime right now as I record this video in-game, but when day comes out, this area looks really graphically nice. I wonder how many people still use that airship, to be honest. I feel like the rarest of those locations is the Season 3 one on Ember Bay. I mean, how many people are hanging out there? I don't know. And finally, a home portal stone, which I had from a long time ago and didn't really spend anything on. So yeah, that's the bank. It's not too interesting. We also have materials. You can pause the video if you really care to look at this. I doubt any of it's that impressive. Basically, I just let stuff build up and up and up, and then sometimes refine it down when I can no longer deposit anymore. I don't think there's anything interesting to say. I haven't been such a fanatical scribe over the past year or so. I've not done so much of it. We're still building up one of our guild halls. Spud 2 is building up, but I haven't really scribed for them. I haven't really scribed for Spud 1. The decorations that they're adding are very cool, but I just haven't really done much of that recently. We've looked at the new decorations they had, but that's about it. And I don't know, there's not much else to say. The new Rune and Sigil overhaul added a few new items down here, but I've not really collected or invested or done anything like that. Not much really going on. I do have a lot of clovers, and I think I have another 77 sitting on another character randomly somewhere, I think. Why I have so many clovers is not because I've been crafting them. I haven't crafted clovers for years. This is just from reward tracks, as are a lot of the mats you see here, but pretty much all of them. It's just stacking up as time goes by. Lastly, we have the wardrobe. So I'm not going to go through every skin in the game, and previous tours I have talked about my current excitements. But what I will say is maxing out the wardrobe has become a bigger objective of mine over the past 2 years, since the Path of Fire times. So in Black Lion Chest now, you can get guaranteed wardrobe unlockers. And what it will do is it will take one of these slots, say, these headpieces, and it will fill it in if you don't already have it. So that actually really kind of excites me. The ultimate end game of Guild Wars 2, I think, the final ambition, the best thing you can go for, is to completely fill out these collections. Now, in the past, I wasn't really excited about that because something could be sold on the gem store and then be removed from the gem store, and you'd never really know when it would come back, and there's just something I'm really unenthusiastic about when it comes to those terms of filling in the wardrobe storage. But now that unlimited unlockers are there, in theory, you can farm a ton of gold at any point, convert it into gems at any point, buy keys at any point, get guaranteed unlockers at any point, and fill in these slots. And the more slots you fill in, the higher chance you're going to get to fill in the really rare ones that currently aren't available. And so that sense of there always being access to getting everything now makes it feel meaningful for me to fill it all in. And I've been gradually essentially doing that. That's where my funds go. I'm more enthusiastic about filling all this stuff in than anything else. And so as I scroll through this, again, I'm not going to look at every little skin. I'm sure some of these that are filled in are really interesting and have a story to talk about. But you'll actually, I'm pretty good. Like, look at my heavy headgear here. It's not bad, honestly. There's probably a couple of racial pieces and very karma-heavy racial weapons that I don't have and should pick up. But what we're going to do on this, I should have mentioned this at the start of the video. What we're going to do on this account tour is go to Guild Wars 2 Efficiency, which is a website that documents various stats about your account. And we'll spend some time there. Most years people ask me to go there, and I'm going to do it this time. And what you'll find on Efficiency is it can tell you which skins you're missing that you can get really easily, and like using that as a tool to get a baseline, and then using the guaranteed unlockers to fill in the rarer stuff is a really fun aspect of the game right now. So then we get to light armor. You know, like light is the main thing I play, and what, there's less than 10 skins that I don't have. I have 76 of 84. There's only 8 pieces I'm missing, right? Or is that 12? No, it's 8. So yeah, as I scroll a little bit more, we got the heavy, light gloves. Gloves as a category tend to have a little bit more going on with them because, you know, sometimes you get like a raid reward or something that's a glove, or they'll release on the gem store the storm gloves or something. Light leggings, look at this, 76 of 81. You know, and it's not that I'm specifically thinking about filling in an individual category, but they are gradually building up and up and up. This piece here, actually, Mistforged Triumphant Heroes. This is the World vs. Worlds armor for a lot of World vs. World game time, and I've just not been inspired by World vs. World very much. There was a period within the last 2 years where I was playing at a reasonable amount when they added pips shortly before Path of Fire, but since then I've not really touched it. And so if there's any skin I'm really far away from, it's that. Unless it comes out of guaranteed unlockers, but I don't think that one does. So yeah, scrolling down, there's a lot to scroll through for armor, isn't there? There's still these that I'm actually missing in the headpieces. I think these were gem store things, but one day they might come through. And then finally we have back pieces. So back pieces I'm actually missing a few. There was, with one of the Living World releases, the opportunity to build a back piece up and up and up, and I didn't really engage with that. In fact, wasn't there 2 releases? And what you're going to find when we get into my achievements in a second is I actually haven't been that good at the game in terms of getting achievements and playing the recent patches. And that's a very big difference in me this year compared to all years before. What I'm basically saying is I haven't actually been that enthusiastic or diligent about beating recent story releases. That's really not been what I'm interested in with Guild Wars. And that might be crazy to you guys, because a lot of you only watch me when I cover the recent releases for the story, but we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, so there you go. That's armor. For weapons, it's going to look a lot more splotchy. One of the reasons weapons will look more splotchy is because I've never actually taken the time to get all the different colors of the baseline Ascended stuff. So, you know, I don't have the Cobalt blade here. I do have the Crimson, and I do have, you know, a few other ones, but I don't actually have all of them. And I could spend a day at the Mystic Forge re-stat assigning and go for that really quickly to unlock the full rainbow, but I haven't bothered with that too much. I guess the other thing to talk about with legendaries, can I just type legendary up here and it will show? No, it won't. You can't do it by tier, can you? But I have crafted a fair few new legendaries. Several of the new ones I've gone for, but even a couple of old ones. I now have the Flames of War. This is a legendary I never had on the last one. This is the Torch. I kind of got this just on a whim because I'd earned so much money from playing PvP, and I got so many clovers and things from playing PvP that I just decided to go for it. So I picked that up. That's at one of the new legendaries. Oh, I really can't remember. I've got quite a few now. It's got to the point where I've lost count of the legendaries I have. I'm really concerned with videos like this because it sounds like I'm humble bragging all the time, and I'm sure that seems obscene to you guys watching. But there will be a point if you play the game enough that, you know, that's just not really a compelling side of it anymore to think about very much. Right now, I really want the legendary Gen 2 hammer because I actually consider it one of the rarest and also, like, quite elegant weapons in the game. Like, it released in episode 6 of season 3, sorry. Where there were 2 releases at once. There were 2. Everyone got the Shining Blade. No one really thought about the hammer. The hammer is to do with ore and stuff. I think it's a really nice piece. And I actually quite like the newest legendary too. But, again, it requires me to do Dragon Stand and getting Dragonite, Crystalline Ore and stuff. And I just can't be bothered with it. So, yeah. I guess the most interesting sections probably are going to be the light armor-oriented stuff again. You know, caster weapons and whatnot. They'll probably be the ones I've filled in more than anything else. I mean, here I'm scrolling so fast, you probably aren't going to be able to get anything meaningful for it. But one thing I will note is I've done a lot for Black Lion collections. Skipping ahead just very briefly here. This is a new thing I've been doing too. Basically, when a new Black Lion weapon collection comes out, and it's very new, and they're very cheap on the trading post, like 20 gold a piece or whatever, I'm actually buying the full sets. I've been doing that on the TP now. So you'll notice I've got all the War Gods, Soaring, Timekeeper, Shifting Sands, Privateer, Orchestral, Plasma. I've got a lot of these, and I've been going and going. So this is 3 AP each. But it actually means I've got, you know, if I go to try and skin a weapon, I have a ton of very cool, very detailed, beautiful looking things. And it's been kind of cool to realize that these are very attainable for just regular players. What you're looking at here is not credit card or, you know, real world money. We tend to make that equivalence in our mind when it comes to gem store weapons and Black Lion weapons. But basically, when you complete a set, any set, right, which is 16, you get a refund of 7 tickets. So you only have to buy the difference on the TP, and you can always buy the cheap ones on the TP, and then spend your free 7 tickets on the expensive ones. And if you do that when the wave is new, when they're at their cheapest, you can keep going with it, and you just kind of get and I do actually care about that now. Every time I see that there's a gem store update and they do a new set of Black Lion weapons, I actually kind of enjoy it. A lot of these older ones that I missed, like Chaos, I didn't get these when they first came out. These are ridiculously expensive now. So there's a ton of them that I don't have, you'll see as well. I mean, look at how much scrolling there is here, guys. Doesn't that just say something about how much gem store updating there's been over the years now? But I've got a very healthy collection of actually completed ones, which are being represented as I scroll here. So yeah, I'm not sure really that there's too much more for me to go into on this. Oh, the other thing that I really wanted was the Scepter, the new Legendary Scepter. That's what I was mentioning a second ago. I think it looks really good. Even though I have Meteorologicus already, I'd love to have that. I'd also love to have the new Dagger too. I think that would be really cool to dual wield with the Incinerator and any Dagger builds that are actually out there that are relevant to me at any point. But yeah, okay, so there you go. That's armor and weapons. Next we have outfits, which is kind of a similar thing. Guaranteed unlockers. When I get keys, I'll occasionally pick an outfit up. If you spoke to me maybe 3 years ago, I actually had a lot of outfits. I almost had outfits finished. But then I fell behind with it, and a lot of these are very expensive, and I don't know, I don't really like collecting outfits anymore, and haven't really thought about it for a long time, so I'm pretty far from the goalpost. But I do have a lot. I was a player that really liked just throwing an outfit on and not thinking about characters and how they looked for a long time. But nowadays I actually do the Fashion Wars 2 a bit more, and I don't really wear outfits so much. I will note that a few new outfits essentially have come in the game since the last account tour. And they're not actually new outfits. This is the old town clothes system that got deleted and turned into tonics, and then turned from tonics into outfits recently. So there's actually, you have a sense of 77 outfits here. There's actually more than that. There's more like 85 or something. I don't know what the full number is. This is the kind of thing Guild Wars 2 efficiency will show us very well. But you can't see those because they're hidden from view by the devs, which I don't really know why they take that stance with it, but they do that in several places. Minis, I don't have anything profound to say. Minis are very karma expensive, and they're a brilliant karma sink from the new releases as they get dropped in, but I don't really collect them. I definitely don't buy them on the Gem Star. I don't really care about minis whatsoever. Oh, actually, I do have something to say. There is one category of minis that I've been looking at, and that's PvP. So, again, when I say I've been going for like every PvP reward, I really have been. Aside from a very limited selection, which I'll talk about in a second. But minis, you do get minis from PvP. They're all llamas, which I think is a bit of a weird choice, like stylistically for the devs to go for. And the actual acquisition of them is like a convoluted, weird, odd thing through the Mystic Forge that 99% of players don't know about. But I've been going for them. When we get to Guild Wars 2 efficiency, you'll be able to see my stats compared to the rest of the community. But for an example, I'm pretty sure... Oh, this was true. I think this is the guy. Not this one. The Lavish Emperor. The best Emperor llama here. This is one of the rarest minis in the game. There's only like 17 humans with this mini. And I'm one of them. That are on Guild Wars 2 efficiency anyway. So that's kind of cool. And, you know, I've just been tearing those up. There are a couple of llamas that I don't know if I'll ever get. That's the gold variant. The silver variant, wherever it is. Here you go. And then the bronze ones. And I do like the way these look. But to get the bronze, the silver, or the gold ones, you have to do automated tournaments in the monthlies. And I'm too antisocial and introverted to actually do that. I've not got a team, and I've not really thought about getting a team. So I don't know about that necessarily. But yeah, llamas, that's pretty cool. There's also the gathering tool section. I'm not sure if this existed on the last tour. I don't care about gathering tool skins. The skins I have are... the Molten Alliance mining pick, because this is the very first one that was ever added to the game. Check it out. We get a weird preview window here. You can preview. This is a new feature as well. This was the first one that was ever added, and I bought it. It was a novelty back then. The second thing ever added was the Chop It All Login Axe with the lightning, so that's why I have that. And then it's Consortium. This was a long time ago, guys. This was like 2012 or 13 I picked these up. After that, I didn't care or buy any for ages, until eventually, during Season 3... they gave us the Unbound Magic Gathering ones, which had a slightly different perk, and I picked those up. Beyond that, I can't understand really how the devs have sold so many. And there's, you know, they continue to be added. But there you go. I'm sure some people really like them. That's the bank. I guess the next thing to move into as well is account slots. So let's separate my shared bag here. So all we're really interested in is these top two rows up here. And what have I got hoarded? Well, I mostly just use this for convenience. Items that I know will keep getting flooded in, and I've just left them there. So I have Invitation to the Lily of the Ellen right now, which takes me to, you know, the all services place. I have my Infinite Mist Omni Potion for it when and if I ever do fractals, though honestly I haven't done fractals for about 6 months. I have a Season 4 Portal Tome that will take me to any of the Season 4 maps. This has kind of replaced the Season 3 one you saw in my bank a second ago. I have a Copper-Fed Salvage-O-Matic, which I use very frequently. I have Tomes of Knowledge that just keep piling up and up and up. So I have almost 1,000 free level ups here that you can see. And when I get annoyed at it, I'll throw it all on a mule character on my account that's got X thousand else sitting there. I have a Shard of Glory converter because I've basically got everything I could ever need to spend Shards of Glory on now. Well, minus 1 or 2 items for the legendary crafting for my next set. But then I just double-click these as I play. Here I have the Mistlock Sanctuary. The reason I have the Mistlock Sanctuary, which is arguably the best of these hub locations, is actually a bit of a weird one. This place, basically, you can set up a reshade green screen And because of the nature of the environment here, where essentially it's all just skybox, if I turn... In fact, maybe I can even show this to you here. If I go to the green screen preset here, if I turn around, I can green screen really easily. And you could, like, pull a mini out and green screen that. And so some of the guys in the Spud Discord actually helped me with this. And what that essentially has helped me do is make a mod where I'm implementing various Guild Wars 2 races into another game, Stellaris, which is kind of one of the projects I'm doing at the moment. That's the only reason I have this here, because this is kind of a weird place. You also get really good frame rate in here, generally speaking. I mean, I'm recording right now and I'm down to 90, but that's still pretty good. So yeah, we got that. Then there's these desert crafting material coffers. These are rewards from PvP from the reward track that's giving me that Krautkatite. The thing is, they're really annoying because if we look at what's actually in them, it's milling stones, which is a dead, completely irrelevant currency. Red lentils, a dead, completely irrelevant currency. Recipes, which, you know, you can unlock in just the first handful, right? And then a picture of coffee, which, I mean, what does a picture of coffee sell for? And then flax, not a very interesting currency either. Flax is a thing you'd pick. Can we actually sell this? The coffee sells for 2 silver. Okay, so to open these, what I have to do is double click, come down to flax, click, and confirm. Do it again. Now, the game's got a lot better for inventory management, a lot better. Most things you can right click, use all and stuff. But also, then I can't just deposit everything because the milling stones build up. So then you have to delete the milling stones. Basically, you get nothing good out of these, and you get spammed with them. So I have almost 700 here, and these are not the first few. I let these build up, and then at a time, delete 250 of them, and just get rid of them. Actually, I feel a bit bad about doing that because I was kind of enjoying such a weird item building to such ludicrous levels. But basically, they have no value, and they're really annoying to deal with, so I just got rid of them. And then also unidentified dies. Similar, PvP just throws these at me. We'll look at die unlocks in a second, which, by the way, I've done very good with. And eventually, you know, I'll just sell them a stack at the time. 27 gold. That must be weird for some of you guys to look at, considering, like, the old Bifrost crafting where getting a stack felt so crazy. But, yeah, I just kind of let those build up. Lastly, I have Trading Post Express and Merchant Express. I don't have infinite access versions of those. I could have got them at any point throughout the years, but I've explained this philosophy I think on every single account tour, but basically I kind of like the idea that there's a mechanic still there to interact with those things. Though to tell you the truth, if I'm just throwing these in here now, maybe I should get the infinite versions. I don't know. Well, so there you go. That's that. The inventory of my Ellie is a bit of a bombshell. And one thing I'm going to skip on this video is talking about gear on all the characters. I'm not gonna, on every character on my account, talk about all the different, like, this is a zealot set that I've got and why I have zealots and all the traits and all that stuff. I have too many characters on my account. If you really want a good insight on that, I did a video maybe 5 or 6 months ago now, just before the most recent Raid Wing came out, where I talked about all the different characters on my account, the builds that they had, and all the gear I'd put on all of them. And that's the video you want to watch. That was a very long one as well, and I think everything that you could say on that topic has been said. All I want to leave you with an impression of on this video is just that realization for any active Guild Wars 2 players. The sense of gear and gear progression and pride in, like, getting ascended or legendary or highly infused stuff kind of doesn't exist. Certainly not for me anyway. I don't really think about it. And the main format I've been playing recently doesn't even relate to gear whatsoever. So, hey. Right, so with all of that done, let's go back to Path of Fire, shall we? Let's actually go to the Lily. I like it. If day is going to come, we'll see some cool stuff. And what we'll do now is we'll roll through the hero panel. And this will take a while, and I'll show you all the various unlocks and things that I care about there, which, again, several of the new updates throughout 2018, the second half of 2017, have actually been related and relevant for. So yeah, let's start off with the top tab. Well, equipment we just did. I don't really have anything to say there beyond that. Let's go, and wardrobe we kind of showed off on the bank, so we can ignore that also. But dies, right, so I just alluded to this. I've got a lot of dies. It's a similar thing to the guaranteed unlocker, right? Any regular die that would come out of these, I already have. I have the starter dies, obviously. I have every common die. I have every uncommon. I have every rare. All the regular dies, they're all there. And I'm not particularly proud of that or excited about that. They're all pretty cheap these days. I also don't really play Fashion Wars enough to really get maximum value out of this. So some of you guys might be salivating at this and thinking, oh, that's so cool. You can get it too. I'd just like to say it's not that difficult to go for. The state of dies and the fact that I've got them all and there's just no need for this anymore and stuff actually disappoints me a little bit. But hey, more interestingly perhaps is exclusives, where I've also got a hell of a selection, to be honest. I'm only missing a few, just these bottom few rows here. These can sometimes get ridiculously expensive. Like any one of these little spots might be, oh, that's 300 gold or 500 gold or something. The best thing to do is when a new set of dies comes out, try and snatch them up really early. But what I do is maybe once a week or every 2 weeks or so. I mean, I'm not diligent with this stuff. I don't treat it like on some schedule or calendar. But every now and then when it occurs to me, I might go on Guild Wars 2 Efficiency and search up die prices. And Efficiency will tell me which dies I don't have. And I can sort them by cheapest. And if they're below like 50 gold, if it's like 20G, 30G or something, I'll pick them up. And I'll just gradually like build these up a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And one of my goals is actually to have every single die in the game. Same as the wardrobe unlocking. I think that that's kind of a fun idea, you know, to keep pushing the account in that direction. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's actually been an exciting project of mine. Outfits I already talked to you guys about. Minis I already talked to you guys about. Finishers, similar situation. I kind of thought, oh, let's get all of the finishers. Let's do it, every single one. So what I actually do with my PvP characters is I pick a finisher that I like for that character, and that will be it forever. So like my Fresh Air Ellie always stomps people with the Chicknado. That's just what I do on that character. Not that I think Fresh Air necessarily has much to do with this, though it is a tornado and it's kind of air related and stuff. Maybe that's a thing. But I really like finishers. I like picking them. I don't really use randomize very much. And honestly, I don't see them as much as I'd like to, because a lot of the builds I like to play do better cleaving bodies than stomping them. But yeah, I have enjoyed this, and when it comes to guaranteed wardrobe unlockers, I really want to finish these off, which you can roll for these. So the ones I don't have is because, generally speaking, they're not available. Now, here's the thing. The Realm Portal Spike Finisher, this is actually just a Path of Fire reward for doing the one of the meta events in the new maps. From the expansion itself. And I'm led to believe that the achievement for this isn't even that hard to do. So this is a finisher that doesn't come from the gem store or anything. It's an actual in-game reward. I really like that as an incentive, but I've not gone for it. And this is just one example of many we'll get to in a second that demonstrate my lack of diligence for completing Path of Fire content and Path of Fire achievements. So that's one. I'm also missing the Mystic Dragon finisher. I guess it's just I haven't picked it up when it's been on the gem store and available. And lastly, the Hidden Minstrel, not picked up when it's been available. This is a particularly silly one, and really silly ones they tend to leave off for a long time. But every single other finisher in existence, I've got. One of the things the devs didn't do with Path of Fire, they did for Heart of Thorns, was you've got the animals, right? And when the game first came out, unlocking a new animal as a finisher was so hype. Probably the best finisher I ever got was the shark one. When I was a shark, before New Player Experience Patch 2, and they just destroyed this and made everyone rank 80, I was so proud and happy about being a shark when there were only like 10 of us that were sharks in the game. It was so cool, right? But then that kind of went away, so I don't care about shark anymore. The devs kind of tried to patch and change that a bit with Heart of Thorns, because they added like the Mordrum shark, right? So, and the Mordrum dragon and the Mordrum tiger. And it was kind of an idea of you could do the animal progression again under the new expansion as an umbrella. And that was a nice idea, I thought, and I was hoping to see that for Path of Fire refined and tweaked again. But Path of Fire has been so hands-off in terms of like when the expansion itself came out, there was really no drive for, you know, tournaments with funds and all that kind of stuff. So we don't have a Balthazar tiger, I guess, or a forged tiger, maybe they will have called it, and a forged dragon and stuff. There wasn't a version of that. And with this season of Living World, there's not a branded dragon and a branded tiger and a branded bear, which I find quite disappointing. But aside from that, I've got all of them. The last three to talk about are these: the European WTO, the Chinese, and the North American. I wasn't a PvPer while these were going on. I wasn't actually interested in the scene when it was at its, most fervent I wanna avoid the word competitive here, but when most people were playing it. And so I missed out on these, and these can unlock from the guaranteed unlockers. And what I really want is the Chinese one. I think having the Chinese WT at the World Tournament finisher would be the coolest thing ever. And yeah, finishing this section off, that excites me. Mail carriers, once again, it'd be nice to get them all. It looks like they're all available for purchase right now. Interesting. You know, maybe I'll go for these just to finish the whole section off. I never actually think about these, though, when it comes to sort of gearing a new character out. And you're going to see in a second, guys, I make a lot of new characters now. I have probably double and then some the number of characters on my account I had on the last tour. I've bought a lot of characters between, you know, the past 2 years. It's kind of become a big thing for me, and I'll show you why. And usually when I make a new character, I will assign it a finisher, and I'll assign it a glider, and I'll assign it all this stuff. But mail carriers, I never really think about. I'm pretty antisocial these days, honestly. Most of my time is spent appearing offline. I don't really go out of my way to message or mail people. I'm very introverted just as a person. Over the past 2 years, that's become a much bigger thing. And I guess that might be why I just don't think about mail carriers. Though I do think some of them are kind of cool. If I did get all of these, it would just be in the pursuit of everything unlocked. Speaking of which, you've got gliders. So this is a weird category that maybe I'd like to get everything on. But for some reason, I'm not excited about getting everything on. Though over the years, you'll notice I've got my fair share. There's a hell of a lot of them. And the devs keep adding new ones, by the way. So they're clearly still selling. Even though we're well outside of Heart of Thorns now, and you'd think it's all about griffins, they still sell new gliders. A lot of the ones I'm missing, you know, are more likely to be the weird, like, cutesy ones and stuff, I'm sure. But yeah, not something... I'm surprised I have as many skins as I do here. This is a lot of skins for someone that doesn't really care or think about or go out of his way for them too much. I guess I must, right? This is a weird one to look at. So now we have mounts, right? So with Path of Fire, obviously mounts are a new thing. This section of the video I think will probably be quite interesting to people because of a big sort of non-traversy from about a year ago now. Basically, the devs added mount skins to the game with a pack themed around Halloween, which were actually pretty lazily done, let's be real. They're just very, very slight reskins to look spooky, yeah? They threw this pack of mount skins out. I'm sure estimated how much money they'd get from it. And I bought the first pack that was ever released. I was pretty happy with that. Then, a little bit later, the devs revealed their mechanism for new mount skins, later ones, like all these different ones you can see here that are locked for me, were going to be bundled in RNG packets, basically loot boxes. And it was happening at the same time. The gaming community at large was pretty flinchy towards those kinds of practices, and it kind of all blew up as this big thing, and everyone was freaking out about it. My stance at the time was that I didn't actually care. I've never really liked the gem store. It wasn't particularly interesting or new to me that it was being done this way. I was made a bit of a pariah for those opinions. I still stand by them very much. However, one thing I was very careful of at the time is I didn't want to go on the internet and explain to everyone that it wasn't that bad, while also simultaneously buying a ton of skins for myself and being gifted a ton of skins. I think I would have looked like a hypocrite in that situation. It was a period of time where a lot of streamers and YouTubers were basically being given by their audience just straight up tons of mount licenses, and they were doing unboxing streams basically saying, oh, RNG, what am I going to get? And they were just taking all these freebies. Now, my real fans will know I've never there have been a couple of very, very, very small exceptions over the years, but I've never really taken donations from anyone because I've always wanted to have that perspective of an actual player of the game. So when this all happened, I kind of, even though I didn't really disagree with the practice too much, I just told myself I wasn't going to buy any licensed skins. I was just going to leave it because I didn't want to give any detractors of my opinion an ad hominem argument that would undermine me. So I didn't buy any. And for a long time, I didn't look at them. Over the years, though, there have been a couple I've picked up. So you can see them here. For Springers, I've got the regular Springer. I've got the spooky one from before the whole non-traversy. When the branded pack came out, I did buy the branded ones because I love the way they can dye. And this is a good example here. You can dye the branded stuff red and it looks not branded at all. It looks totally different. I thought this was a really well done set. And that's it, really. On occasion, I've also bought a few others, like those legendary, more expensive ones. And this just came out the other day, this a gecko version of the Springer, which I love. So when the devs put a lot of effort in, and it's like a totally different model with new animations and stuff, I have gone for them. And so if I show you here, this is what my gecko looks like. I really, really like these, you know, and I think that these kinds of things I'm happy to purchase. They exist outside of the mount license system anyway. For the roller beetle, I did the same thing with the Terra Armadillo. You notice that there's no spooky or branded thing here because it didn't exist at the time. But all these other skins, like the loot box based ones, I don't really look at. I don't really think about. I think some of them look pretty cool, honestly, like the roller beetle. I did a video just the other day. This appears in the trailer for an upcoming patch. And I was saying, oh, is that going to be in the next release? What's going on there? That's weird. Only for everyone in the comments to say to me, hey, WP, that's already in the game. You know, I don't look at these or think about them. So, yeah, and I think there was another legendary skin I got somewhere. You notice I have a lot of raptors. The reason for this was, despite everything I just said, I can't remember the circumstance of it anymore. But there were a few actual... I've probably given you the impression as I've been speaking that I never picked up any mount licenses at all. Eventually I did crack, and I have had a few mount licenses. I can't remember what it was. I definitely did a stream where people were gifting me them, and I just deleted them straight up. And that was a bit of a thing. But I did get these eventually. I don't remember what the situation was in any case. It was after things had cooled off, I'm sure. So yeah, that's mount skins, and I'm not much of a connoisseur of them. Don't really have many. So yeah, and then lastly we've got a new section, novelties. So this was a 2018 thing where they gave us the option to keybind basically a ton of items that were clogging up our banks. And there's 5 categories. There's chairs, there's instruments, there's toys and like held items. What's the difference between these again? There's like held items, and then there's like costume brawl toy things. I can't really remember the distinction between these. And then lastly, there are tonics. Tonics came a little bit later. Easily the most exciting and badass of them. Any endless tonic you can add to this. And, you know, basically, I haven't really looked at these beyond when the patch came in. I just unlocked as much stuff as I could. I would love to finish these out and really go hard with it. But there's a lot to do, particularly for tonics and stuff. I currently use the mount wheel software. You've seen it a little bit here. I have a video on this. People constantly ask about this in the comments. I've already done a video on it, and you can just type Guild Wars 2 Mount Wheel Wood Potatoes into YouTube. You'll see a guide on it. And the writer of this program is hopefully going to do a version as well that gives you a second wheel, allowing you to choose from the 6 categories of novelties, because it's essentially the exact same thing as what's going on with mounts, which would be really badass, and I would find I use it a lot more. But yeah, I'm a big fan of combat tonics. I'd like to see those become available in PvP, and even special PvP rewarded combat tonics I think would be really cool. And yeah, you know, I just got a selection of different things unlocked. This section I was surprised to find I have pretty much everything except the fancy Winter Crystal Scepter and the Royal Prince's Staff. This is from the early days, where I guess just over the years, this has been something that I've gone for more than anything else. And that was quite nice. This section I've done really terribly because I guess I'm not that excited about the difference between a red kite or a blue kite. But this was fun when the Festival of the Four Winds came back, and there's a lot of items I didn't care about before, but now when I mouse over it, it says this content is not unlocked, and you know you can right-click unlock it. And the fact that you're right-click unlocking the item instead of just getting an item that will clutter your bank makes it much more exciting for me to pick up. So that was kind of cool. Instruments, I have basically nothing. And the reason I have basically nothing of these is because I never really learned to do it. I have the Minstrel, which I got for free from having the Legendary, which I made ages ago, before it had its cool footsteps and unsheath effects and all that stuff. I'm a bit of a minstrel hipster, to be honest. And now I got a free instrument. As soon as I picked this up, I did use that website that gives you macros for playing various songs, and I spent a bit of time utilizing it, but not much. Chairs as well. They've started selling a lot of them on the gem store, and I'm not that interested. The only ones that I really regret is I do not have the Bench of the Final Judge, and I do not have the Luxurious Pile of Gold. Now, this may seriously surprise some of you guys. Basically, these are prestige rewards from raids. I have enough currency to pick up the Bench of the Final Judge, and I almost... So basically, Bench of the Final Judge was a rare drop from Doom, the original chair, and you needed 2,000 gating crystals to pick it up. I actually just spent a ton of gating crystals on something else, and I really regret that now. And it's kind of cool, but I just don't have any enthusiasm for it anymore, and I don't raid that much. In fact, I haven't raided for the past 2 to 3 months. Seriously, I've missed like the past 6 or 7 sessions with my group. I think they're still going. I feel kind of bad about it, but yeah, I've just not been very into it. As for the new wing, I did do all of the achievements quite diligently, but then kind of a lot of real life stuff happened, and one of the videos I actually still have yet to make is a lore video with you all about the wing. I did part 1, but I haven't done part 2 for you yet. And there's a lot of overhanging stuff about that content. Right as Zomros came out, I love the wing. It's a really cool wing, and I did that brilliant stream on it. We've talked a lot about the mechanics and all kinds of fun stuff, but it's a project that's kind of in limbo for me at the moment because I guess I got burnt out in the middle of doing it. And the one achievement I haven't done for this, I guess we'll look at later, but it's the final CM. I've done everything else, but that's why I don't have the pile of gold. So yeah, there you go. That's novelties, and maybe there's something interesting about that with you guys. Is there anything about... I have every combat tonic in the game, for what it's worth. All the other ones are just kind of random tonics I don't care very much about. One, I did actually get lucky once in fractals, and I got the endless fractal tonic, but I traded it in for something else. I can't remember what. And I kind of regret that now, because this would actually be pretty cool. Now that it's on the novelty system to have actually had it unlocked. So yeah, that's this section. Build we really don't have to deal with or talk about. I'm playing a Tempest right now. This character is mostly a healer during raids and things now, and that's what I use it for more than anything else. I don't even know what build it is. The build is probably messed up because of one of the series I do where I just called Balance with Boots, where I shuffle traits around a lot and then just don't play the character again for ages. But yeah, build, there's nothing really to say. Training, there's nothing to say. Story journal, I've already said everything I want to say. My main did everything. The main story, Season 1, which isn't even here or playable, did all of Season 2 with all the achievements. Heart of Thorns, all the achievements. Season 3, all the achievements, except I guess something missing from part ends. Everything, and then when it comes to POF, it's spotty, and it's like I haven't really done, because I'll be on different characters and swapping around a lot. When the expansion itself came out, I didn't even play it originally on this character. I made a new Weaver called Azuric of Parathia, named after one of my favorite, the protagonist of one of my favorite games I did a Let's Play on for a long time ago. And it was a long time before I took my main, so to speak, even through it. And Living Worlds, you know, a new episode is coming out. What did they announce the date was? The 8th of January. 1 week from now, there'll be a new episode, episode 5. And I have absolutely zero ambition to play it on this character. Zero. Which I suppose is a bit sad to think about. This character does have 100% map completion and a ton of POIs and things that are otherwise inaccessible now. But that idea of just being completionist on it anymore is just not enthusing to me. Crafting, there'll be no changes whatsoever. They haven't added any new disciplines. And, you know, I've had 500 and everything for ages now. That would have been in the other ones. Masteries we'll do very quickly as well, because achievements is the main thing. And I guess there's not much to say here either. There's the Path of Fire Masteries. These are just as much non-content and not interesting and not something worth thinking about as the Heart of Thorns stuff was. There's a couple of Path of Fire Mastery points I still don't have because I've not been very good at this recent expansion in terms of getting absolutely everything. But, you know, leveling these up and finishing them, I don't ever really think about it. You know, every time a new Living World patch comes out, I get a new ability for one of my mounts. And that's about it. I don't know. There's nothing really to say, unfortunately, guys. I wish there was a plethora of interesting things going on with this. But the dev... Well, we won't get into a big talk about mastery system. Just, we'll leave it there. Alright, so moving on. We've got achievements. So, first of all, I think what we'll find really interesting is my nearly completed. Probably, if you go and look at my video 2 years ago, and you see nearly completed... It's probably 2 world versus world things. It's probably the same thing. No, because I have played a bit of world versus world since. Essentially, this is always what this looks like. It's either 2 or 3 world versus world things that are nearly completed, and I just kind of don't touch the game type enough. These were actually patched recently-ish to make them much more attainable than they were at vanilla. So I could theoretically eventually get enthusiastic about world versus world again and go for that. But until the alliance system is in, I really doubt I will. So nearly completed have just been like that. Here you've got bug in the system mastery. That was 2 patches ago, and I haven't even finished the meta achievement for that. So that's telling me that that's nearly done. Coming down here, we have achievement point rewards. Where so coming up to the chest, I'm at 35,283. I get a lot of comments about this of people saying, "Oh wow, you've got such high achievement points. Your achievement points are really, really, really astounding." To me, I don't actually think I have it that high. I think the people who are really impressive are 37 plus at the moment, or 38. And I could easily bridge that 2,000 gap if I had tried harder with this recent expansion and Living World Season to actually get all of the AP that's available through each of those things. But because I haven't, I'm still kind of, you know, I'm in a pretty lazy position here. The reason it's so high in general is only because, you know, I've got all the dailies and I can rest on the laurels of all the hard work, if you will, that I did. Make it sound like a job there, don't I? All the fun I had, you know, during Vanilla and Heart of Thorns in the earlier seasons. That's where the bulk of this is. It's not actually from really thinking about achievement points. I do like achievement points for what it's worth, and I think one of the ways to really have a lot of long-term fun in Guild Wars 2 is to get invested in this. If you can find it in yourself, if you can find the thing to love about building AP up, getting a guild. One thing that I remember a few friends of mine used to do in my old guild was look at, you know, have a close friend and look at what their AP is and try and, like, not in any really overly competitive way, but often look at how they're doing and try not to fall too far away from them or get ahead of them a little bit, and then they'll try and get ahead of you a little bit, and you go, and it can lead you to having a lot of adventures and lead you to a ton of cool content. In general, achievement-oriented content in the game now is really good. It has, like, voice-acted dialogue and phased NPCs, and it's a really high bar. It's very good stuff, but you need to have, like, that enthusiasm for building these points up so that the pot of gold at the end, so to speak, is exciting to you. So, yeah, we got that. The title I'm repping is the Extra Life. That was just because of a silly little event. I'm actually repping this. This is a bit smarmy and gross and horrible of me, I must be honest. I'm repping this a bit ironically here. I actually think the Extra Life is probably one of the worst titles in the game. It's just a title for logging in. Yay, go you. But a lot of people rep it for what it represents in the real world and whatnot. And that is all perfectly reasonable and fine. But, yeah, as for titles in general, there's hundreds of them in the game now. Most of these that I look at, I can't remember where I got them or what they mean. They're not tiered or anything like that, so it's kind of just a cosmetic decision you'd make now, I guess. A bit like picking a glider, or a bit like picking, you know, the mini that you have that follows you around. What do you like the look of? So, you know, you just pick, oh, Guild Warrior, that's cool. And I would just decide it like that. I don't really have any thoughts. I don't think there's any prestigious titles that have come out in the past 2 years. The only really prestigious title I can think of would be a Season 3 one, where you spend like 1,000 gold or something for a title, and that's it. It's just 1,000 gold sink, and you go for that. And I don't have that. But maybe that would be a cool title. I'm not sure. So, yeah. And as for the unlocks, I think my next big one... So I get more pinnacle weapons there. Here, I get the Radiant chest piece. And then what is it after that? I think it's back pieces, isn't it? Isn't there a back piece for Hellfire and a back piece for Radiant? And that's what I'd be looking at. Finishing the Radiant set off will be quite exciting. I do have a full Radiant kitted Thief character that looks pretty cool. So I'd like to create another character that is full Radiant. That would be really nice. Maybe I could make it a Char too, and they could be like, you know, characters made to look opposite of one another. So, yeah, lastly, we got the account bonuses. I can't remember what they were 2 years ago. My gold find is now at 121%. Karma is at plus 28. XP is at 42. And my magic find, the luck, has gone up to 472, 510. And again, maybe when we get to Guild Wars 2 efficiency, we can look at that a bit more deeply. So now we've got achievements. This bit of the video I'm not going to go too crazy with, because across all the account tours I've done, you probably can find some commentary about every single achievement, and there's no point in me doing it all again. So I'm going to gloss over a lot of stuff, but talk about what's actually been relevant and interesting to me. So first of all, dailies. There's tons of daily categories now. Every new map they add, there's dailies to do in them. I never think about or do any of these. I like the idea of doing a challenge on a stream or something, where I do every daily possible or something. I don't know. Find something compelling in that nub of an idea. But in general, I ignore all of this. And as for the dailies themselves, I ignore all of these every single day. But I always get my daily. I always have 2 gold from daily. Why? Even though I never pay any attention, it's because you can get it in an instant from PvPing. You literally play 1 PvP game and they just give you your daily. It's the fastest, most fun, most efficient way of doing daily I can imagine. I've quite often had reset tick over and within like 3 seconds my daily's done because reset happens to coincide with the end of my match. So it's reset and oh, my game just ended and oh, there you go, you won, boom, it's done. Like, it's just something I've got a load, but not something I've been going out of my way for. And because I don't get achievement points from it anymore, I probably wouldn't look at it anymore either. This is sort of a dead part of the game to me. Next, we've got festivals. I don't really look at the festivals too much. I have kind of the blanket, oh, everything done sort of thing. For most, I mean, for Winter's Day, I guess I'm missing this. But the traditions where you just endlessly repeat stuff, I haven't really thought about or done much of. It's not very compelling to me. If they did festival queuing for snowball fights and stuff, maybe I'd do it a bit more. And sometimes while I'm queuing, I do the Winter's Day stuff. But not often. The reason I would do the Winter's Day stuff is because you can get wrapped gifts, which would be unlocked by my wardrobe, and now that is something I'm interested in. So, story journal. You notice I got a little purple icon here. That's because there are Path of Fire mastery points available that I haven't picked up. So, long live the Lich. It's telling me that if I do practice them in advanced dynamics, I'll get a mastery point. So, here's what should be quite interesting, I think. You guys probably have an impression of me that I do everything and go really hardcore with everything. But let's actually look at this, right? Let's go back to Season 2. It's all done. 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 Heart of Thorns, it's all done. Season 3 is all done. Everything, right? We're really on the ball. Path of Fire comes out. I've got Act 1 finished. Act 2, I'm missing something. Act 3, I'm missing... I don't know what I'm missing here. 2 things that are hidden, it seems. But these generally I got quite slowly. Daybreak, yes, I have the meta done, but I've got several that I haven't finished. I'm not sure what they are or how to do them. I don't have too much interest in it. Bug in the system, I have even less done, but the meta is at least finished. Long live the Lich, I haven't even finished the meta. I'm missing a mastery point. And why is this relevant if you're a bit of a new person to this game? What this means is I actually am missing out on vast quantities of developer input content. Like... this thing here with the advanced dynamics, this is to do with a feature where you're building up turrets on the corner map. And, like, you tier them up and you get new skills and you play with them in fun ways. And there's, like, loads going on. It's a big part of the patch, a big part of the release. But what I'm saying, essentially, is as far as Long Live the Lich is concerned, I haven't played the full release. I'm like one of these fair weather players that thinks all that matters is the story journal. And, oh, just as long as I see all the cutscenes, I've finished it. That's really not true with Guild Wars anymore. And I'm quite guilty about this and sharing this with you guys. Because, honestly, I've missed out on substantial amounts of quality gameplay. And, you know, I've just not really been interested enough. This was a particularly weak release as well. I mean, in general, all the releases are very good compared to, like, Season 2 and 1 and a lot of Season 3. But we all kind of know that Corner wasn't that good. And so maybe that hit my enthusiasm a bit here. But, I mean, look at it. This is the past 6 months, and I've just not really touched it too much. And the most recent release, A Star to Guide Us, I've got... I mean... the other thing is, though, they're such big releases now, you know. You compare, like, Season 2. It's like, oh, here's a few things. They did have separate achievement collections for the maps that came as well, right? But we're talking a lot of achievements to go for. A lot to get through. This is all the stuff with the Sun's Refuge. This is maybe a bit more excusable because this release is actually quite new. But I just don't spend much time on the map. I only very recently did some videos and streams building up the new armor set that came from this, Requiem. By the way, that's another thing I'll note about the wardrobe. There's been a lot of full-on armor sets you can just earn in-game they've been adding. And I've been eating those up and enjoying those very much. So yeah, I've not really done too well with a lot of these story journal things. That's that section. For general, dungeons, there's been no update, and that's all complete. Silverway Strytop, Slayer. I still don't have Giant Slayer. This is probably quite exciting. The devs actually, it still goes up to 1,000, so it's not been changed anyway. The devs did add lots of giants, though, to Path of Fire itself for the first time. So this has always been a notorious enemy that there's very few of, and you could go out of your way farming. I have very, very fond memories of an old guy I used to play with way back during Season 1, and he was an achievement hunter, and he was at that point where he was just farming, like, shield kills and giant kills. And you used to farm this in Brisbane Wildlands. You kind of don't have to do that anymore, and I think a lot of people will have more giant kills if they've spent a lot of time in the expansion, because there are giants wandering around in the expansion. Hero is done and hasn't changed. So, tradesman, you've got ecto gambling. A lot of people have this, and they use it as a merchant. I don't care enough about ecto gambling to do it. A lot of people sort of just farm cheap and easy views on Twitch and YouTube as well, ecto gambling, and I consider myself snottily above that. There's also the new version of ecto gambling, which is Sandstorm, and I've never really even played that at all. That's of the new expansion. Patron is that really expensive title I was talking about before, which I haven't picked up. Explorer won't have changed, it'll be all done. Fashion won't have changed and be all done. Weapon Master, this one's kind of interesting. We have some updates in that I think it was Hammer I finished recently. So Reaper got really good in various competitive modes recently with some obscene buffs that have just kept coming in and in and in. And as you score kills in Reaper Shroud, they count as Hammer kills. So that's actually given me Hammer, and I finished that off quite quickly. There was also another one I beat over the past 2 years. I could be going out of my way looking for these, but I really haven't. So Longbow is getting closer. This was from a stint of playing a lot of Sikkim Soul Beast. Shortbow is a bit higher because I've been playing a bit of Daredevil. And that's about it. The others, I don't know when I'll get. I don't know where I'll get Spear Gun or Harpoon Master. I'm quite surprised, actually, at how low my Harpoon Master is. I've only ever scored 777 kills with a Harpoon-wielding class underwater. Yeah, pretty low. Community, don't think it updated. Hall of Monuments definitely didn't update. Jumping Puzzles might have updated, but, you know, I beat those. I think the last formal jumper puzzle we got was Siren Landing, wasn't it? It was a while ago. Mastery Insights for Path of Fire. Now, I do have all of these, so that's all right. The Shatterer, I'm still missing the Break Bar achievement. I did a couple of streams on this, but it was a bit frustrating to try, so I sort of packed it in. Triple Trouble won't have changed. Tech won't have changed. Bosses haven't changed. This is a new section, the Sunken Treasure Hunter. Basically, there's a new type of item, a swim speed enhancing infusion item, that if you kind of farm on a daily cycle by opening treasure chests and killing crates, you can kind of work towards. And I've done all of those. Master Diver. Oh, yeah, I do have this. Interesting. So you can keep going over and over and over with this, can you? It infinitely keeps giving you more AP. So I did it the first time and got the title, but I haven't done it for the extra achievement points afterwards. I basically have beaten this content. I just haven't done it loads in that farming sense. It's a good way to get money as well, by the way. I actually really liked this. So we got that for general. Now there's Path of Fire. Obviously, this is new. Once again, you'll see how there's a lot of mastery points I'm missing. So these are the new maps. And let's just go through. So the first map, the Crystal Oasis, where we're currently stood, I actually have beat this map. Voila. Beautiful. The Desert Highlands, though, the second map, I've got several things I haven't done, including, like, getting golden carrots, I think it is. The hidden carrots. And whatever else is going on here. Some of these, this is a bit deceptive. Breaking the Bank, these... This is just a silly mini game in the expansion where you pick a door left or right and you've got a 50-50 chance of getting in it. And that's it. And they go infinitely. So you can never actually beat these four. So I'm doing better than it looks, but I've never got the Lost Doliac smashing. And I feel bad about this because I see these and I'm like, this is probably a fun thing, you know, an NPC with some dialogue. The Ellen and Riverlands, this is the third map. So this, I really regret. This is the Flameseeker Prophecies. When the expansion came out, I was really diligent about this, and I wanted to do a video showing all the information that came from the Flameseeker Prophecies and talking about the lore with you guys. I was really keen on it. And I didn't do it in the end. And for months after I never got back to this project, several people kept saying to me, WP, are we going to see the Flameseeker Prophecies thing? And I'd say, oh, yeah, I've got to do that. Are we going to see the Flameseeker Prophecies thing? Oh, yeah, I'll do that. It went for months, and no one's asked me now for maybe, like, half a year. And I've forgotten completely about it. I should do this. I'd love to. But I still haven't read or fully interpreted all of the Flameseeker Prophecy stuff. And that's such a shame. That's a crime, because this is a cool thing from the expansion. There's some diving spots, I guess, I'm missing. Some skim-oriented stuff. You got the Desolation, the next map, so that finisher I don't have. One of these is for that finisher. It's very weird. As I talk to you guys about this and I look at all of it, it really makes me quite excited to actually properly play more of the expansion, go for these. I'm investing myself in going for these things when I really haven't had much enthusiasm for it for a long time. And why I haven't is simply been the other things I'd rather do. I'd rather be queuing PvP because I just get so much fun from that than being in PvE. That's all it is. It's not that this stuff's actually bad. It's just there's something else I'd rather do within Guild Wars. And I've been like that a lot this year. The Domain of Vabi as well, the last map. There's several things I haven't done. Then Crystal Desert in general, we actually have that finished. Mastery Insights, we have that finished. And lastly, Specializations. I have played all 9 of the elite specs and unlocked them and understand them fully. You know, that's more gameplay-oriented stuff. And I know that kind of stuff very well. There will be more Path of Fire stuff coming up soon. So that's good. Heart of Thorns is all finished 100%. I talked about that on a previous account tour, I'm pretty sure, and everything's done. And I talked about what I was particularly proud about at that point. There is a new section in the game as well now, properly implemented, called Side Stories. So these are the patches that come out between the major releases, but nonetheless is actual gameplay and content. So like the recent one is Roller Beetle Racing. You could race around. If you do it in the current period, you might win a Volkswagen Beetle and all that kind of stuff. So I have been doing these. Roller Beetle Racing is very new, so I've not quite got this finished, but that is... basically, I just need to do more laps of the races, and then I've got it fully done. But yeah, so I've got golds on all of these, and this was really fun with the rewards. Current events. This is actually essentially all done, except I've never defended the Plains of Ashford or Caledon Forest from Joko invasions, and these proc so rarely, I often don't think about them. I have actually tried both of these, but I think the events failed. The players never rallied around them properly, so I never got credit for them. But yeah, this section I'm basically done. Conservation of Magic, Justice of the Blade. A lot of this is Season 3 stuff now that's just been put into its own sections. That's all finished, you know, that's all old enough that I was still very, very into all that stuff. Next, competitive. Okay. So, there's actually a lot to talk about. If we were to rewind this video to the very start, if I had anything in my mind I was proud of, and like, what have I focused on achievement-wise that I really want to show you guys, it's this section here, alright? So this is going to be the big thing. This is what I spent most of the time on. Why are so many of these other bits empty? It's because competitive is what I focused on. So, first of all, what is there to talk about? Well, down at the bottom, you've got the activities. I've got Belcher's Bluff done. South Sun Survival, I've not played for a long time and have limited progress. Keg Brawl, Keg Master remains one of the rarest and most exciting titles in all of Guild Wars 2 that very few players have, and I've not even really been going towards. If I could easily go from Keg Brawl into regular queues and then dumped back into Keg Brawl, and if I could do that in my downtime instead of just standing around Heart of the Mist, I'm sure I'd have better progress on this, but I don't. Crab Toss, I grinded many years ago, but I haven't done very much on. So, and then Sanctum Sprint, I've actually done quite a lot of, but it's a very tall order to finish. So that's the activities. I'd love to see Snowball fights here. I'd love to see Reaper's Rumble and stuff here, and Aspect Arena and Dragon Arena, but they're all festival-oriented. Then you've got Edge of the Mists, which I've talked about in the past. World vs. World, which I mentioned earlier in the video has become a lot easier, but in general I have very minimal progress. I have a very real reputation amongst the Guild Wars community as someone who doesn't play World vs. World. And why do I have that reputation? Because that's what I tell people, that I don't play World vs. World. But you can see from my achievements, you know, I've been in there. I've got, you know, hundreds of keeps and towers and things flipped, and, you know, I'm like rank... I don't actually know what World vs. World rank I am. I think I'm like 700 or something. I've probably played it more than your average person. Like, a lot more than the average Guild Wars 2 player. It's just, compared to everything else, I haven't played it that much. Anyway, so there you go. That's my World vs. World stats, and hopefully with Alliances, I'll care about that game mode. Then, there's PvP Conqueror. So, this is kind of the broad achievement collection, or collection of achievements, for PvP in general. TPvP, competitive PvP, Heart of the Mists. And a lot of progress has been made here since the last account tour. Within this section, there are achievements for each of the 9 professions. So, for example, Mesmer. Win 200 matches as a Mesmer, that's Illusionist. And there's also one called Champion Illusionist, which is to win 150 rated games. There's no real difference or big distinction between the two now, because hot joins are not very interesting. But still, basically, there's lots of achievements for doing each of the classes. I have every single one of those done, and I've had that all done for a long time now. There's also just general wins in here, I think, and general kills. So 2,000 kills in PvP, some stuff like that. There are achievements for getting high rated at the end of a season. So Ruthless Legend, I have because I was in 26th to 100th. If I'd got into the top 25 at the end of a season, I would have been Relentless. And I was really close to Relentless. I was one win away. I lost the game instead. So I was like... I think I was like 19th on the leaderboard at the end of a season. And I played a game. If I'd won it, I probably would have been like top 10. I was going for Unyielding, which is top 10. But I lost the game, and that dropped me out of the top 25. And I got really stressed out and frustrated. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. So instead of having Relentless, because I lost that one game, I instead have Ruthless. The truth is there's not actually much difference between... because there's so much RNG at the top of the leaderboards between some of these. But I'm pretty proud of Ruthless. I think it's okay to have. I think these are actually not available anymore, are they? Even though they're still on the panel, I don't think you can pick any of them up. But yeah, so there's Unyielding for top 10. If you get second place, you've got God or Goddess. And if you... third is Immortal Legend. So, yeah, for being very high leaderboards, it would have been nice to have a bit more of these, but hey, whatever. Best of the best is for winning monthly tournaments, which, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm too antisocial to really do, so I've never really looked at it. And tournaments, as I said, I don't play much, so there is a very easy achievement to play a tournament on each class. I could farm this at some point very easily. It's not even win in a tournament, it's just participate. So maybe I could do that. And then finally, you've got Conqueror and Champion Brawler. These are about playing lots of games, and they're very, very rare achievements. And I'm actually kind of close. I think on the last one of these you saw, I only had like 3,000 to 4,000 wins. In the past 2 years, I've essentially doubled my progress towards these. I'm at 7,900 games out of 10k now. And over here, I'm at 7,200. So most people who pick up Champion Brawler in the end... they're like cynical about it and they're like, oh, I don't really like it that much. But I would really enjoy this. I'd like Champion Brawler, and it's becoming attainable, which is weird. In like a year or so, if I'm still PvPing as much as I have been the past like 7 months or so, I might end up having this. Which is crazy, to be honest. This is one of those titles that came into the game years ago that had this like obscenely high ceiling to it. And the devs were like, well, we'll put this in for the absolute losers and the absolute no lives, but realistically no one's going to get it. And several people in the community now are getting to a point where they're picking this thing up, and even I can see it vaguely on the horizon. I mean, I'm not even 3/4 of the way there yet, but I can see it, and that's a weird feeling for me. But at the same time, you know, Guild Wars 2 is 6 years old, and if it's been your main game, not that I haven't played other games obviously, but if it's been your main game for that period of time, I've had huge breaks from PvP as well, to be honest. So you know, it's no surprise to me that several people actually have it who haven't had those breaks. I've had very substantial breaks from PvP. Most of my time playing the game has been breaks from PvP. So anyway, that's PvP Conqueror, and I think there's a lot to talk about there. Then there's the Ascended Backpack, which I'm sure I talked about 2 years ago and isn't interesting to me. Now we have a ton of new categories. These never used to exist. Basically, what the devs have done now is every map in PvP has its own collection of achievements in it. So if you play Spirit Watch and do the spirit mechanic enough times, you can get an achievement and kills on that map and wins on that map and stuff. And so I have all of these done. The ranked maps like Kylo and Temple and whatnot, lots of people will have, and Forest, people will have those, you know, because that's whatever. But, you know, I've gone out of my way to pick up Spirit Watch, and I've gone out of my way to pick up Battle of Champions Dusk, which is Stronghold. Stronghold being, you know, kind of a dead game type. I got this very recently, actually. These were some of the newest ones. And whenever a new map comes out as well, like Jin's Dominion, this came out just last patch, I take the time to go for those as well. So, yeah, I've got all of these absolutely complete. So now you're starting to see, oh, okay, so the POF general stuff he hasn't done as much of, but these is, you know, blanket complete now. So you can see where my focus shifted a little bit. So yeah, you got all of that, and that's the competitive section, I guess. The other thing to talk about with the competitive section is actually the PvP panel, where we can see a lot of our stats as well. So the actual league right now, you can see I'm at 1600 MMR, which is like, in my mind, and this is just my opinion, mediocre. I think the game is actually balanced that your average player is at the bottom of gold. I think that's supposedly where it's balanced, or middle of gold. So you can see it's pretty mediocre, but you shouldn't really pay much attention to this because I reset my placements quite a lot by swapping from EU to NA. If I do a stream and we want to be on EU, then I'll change region, and then when I start queuing again, I'll be on a different area. So I actually queue with quite high volatility a lot, and I also have made an effort to play a lot of very different builds, and a lot of them terrible builds, a lot of them off-meta builds, and a lot of builds that I'm learning how to do, and I'll take that into ranked anyway, which you guys might disagree with, but what it actually means is my rating as it stands right now is only after 60 games, even though I may have played like 600 games this season so far, right? And this isn't actually reflective, in my opinion. I do actually think that it's somewhere near where I actually should be represented. I would place myself a little bit higher, maybe, but that's about it. Anyway, we shouldn't think about this, essentially, is what I'm saying, because it doesn't mean very much. Neither does the reward progress down here. Being at the Byzantium chest is meaningless, essentially, to me. That's just a mechanism for getting loot, and we don't actually think about that in terms of anything. However, and reward tracks as well, we don't really think about. I would note I've finished every single reward track and have every single exclusive reward from any reward track in the entire game. Right now, I'm doing Winter's Day because it gives me karma, and it's a festival track, so hey, why not? But they're all finished. There's a new feature where you can repeatedly do a track now, so I'm just sort of pushing through. The only other thing I might do is... So Jahai here, you'll see the Jahai track I just finished recently. I did that for the Requiem armor, the new armor set. I didn't play PvE for it. I did it purely through the reward track. Glorious as well for the legendary armor. You do it for Mistcore fragments. And then on occasion, I'll do the Domain of Istan for Kralkatite. But generally speaking, I just, you know, it's whatever gives me loot. I'll note as well that if you go for like the Ascalon track or like the vanilla tracks, you have a higher shot at ascended items. So I sometimes do those. But the real thing I want to look at here is the stats up here. So I don't know how this compares to my last account tour. My most recent 10 game history, trying a variant of Shatter Mesmer, which has been pretty splotchy, to be honest, as you see. This is like today. This is Q's today before I recorded this. You can see from the date here. The last day of the year, the 12th and 31st, New Year's Eve. That's how I've spent it so far, and then doing this. But up here, you'll see my other stuff. So my favorite map is still Forest of Niflhel. It's been so long now since the early days of paid and free tournament tickets, where all tournaments started round 1 on Forest of Niflhel. But the reason Forest of Niflhel is my favourite map, as in the map I've played the most of, is because of those old days where I would try a tournament with pugs, or even with a static, and the first round is Forest. So if you lose in the first round, Forest ticks up and all the other maps don't. So gradually over time, the more you play, the more Forest was favoured. So that, and even after all these years, with all these other maps coming in, and I'm just 1 vote out of 10 on what map gets picked. Forest still remains the same. Elementalist still remains my favourite profession. So here's my pie chart representing all the different professions I've played, and you'll see that Elementalist is the biggest wedge. But Elementalist is only 44% now. Most of this would be Fresh Air Ellie. Some of it's Mender's side noding Ellie, some of it's gimmicky stuff like pile driver one-shot builds and staff and stuff. But it's 6,400 games. That's probably more games than most people have total. But it's only 44% of mine, and that's just what I have purely on Ellie. And then I have a diverse selection of the others. Second most is Mesmer, 15% of my games. Necromancer I've got 11% on, and then the others come in here. The one I've played least of is probably Rev at 3%. Maybe Ranger is less. Ranger is also 3%. Okay, Ranger is less, actually. Ranger is less. But yeah, and I'm quite proud of this, actually. I like this. A specialization in one class, but significant game time on the others, thus you understand their builds and their traits and their skills and stuff. That's really important to me. And so I actually kind of like the way that my pie chart looks. Top stats, I'm at 23,000. Solo queue, team queue. This is kind of weird the way that this is actually written now. But ranked games, I've played 8K ranked games. One about... wait, what is this? I've played 8K ranked games and won 8K? No, I guess this is games total. Oh, here you go. So I've played 8,700 ranked, and I've won 4,700 ranked. So slightly over 50% win rate there. So yeah, that's my stats on this panel, and that's how that kind of manifests before we move on. So yeah, you got competitive. Moving over to the PvE end game with raids. You know, basically I have I've already told you this story. I have everything done except a lot of the CMs. So Bastion of the Penitent, I haven't done CMs. Hall of Chains with Doom, I haven't done CMs. And the recent wing, the only CM I'm missing is the final boss. Which I kind of really regret this. This was just the timing of things though, and real life and stuff. The week where we were going to do this, I didn't raid, and then I kind of stopped. But yeah, and then that would be that. So, you know, raiding really isn't something I care that much about anymore. And I find a lot of it far less interesting. Here's a funny thing. I was really into raids while most of the community wasn't into them. And most of the community was rebelling against them and saying, this was supposed to be a casual game, blah, 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 blah. Now, though, I feel like most discussion that you find online cares way too much about raids, and now I'm like the reverse. Basically, I'm the ultimate hipster at all times. If the community doesn't like raids, then I love them. If the community loves raids, then I hate them. That's the situation. But in all seriousness, I don't know why that is that, but I've kind of gone sour on raids when most people only, like, when it comes to discussions of balance and stuff, people tunnel vision too much into this stuff, I think, at this point. But yeah. Fractals won't have changed, really. There's a few new fractals that came out, and I got the achievements for those. That's not a big deal. So that's fine. Historical won't have changed. Now we've got collections. So I already talked about the specialization. Wait. Sorry, no. I talked about Black Lion collections. So here's something I'm still proud of. I still have every single basic collection in the game. Path of Fire came out and added a few new ones, and the Living World releases have added a few new ones, but I've taken the time to pick those up, and I have those done. I'm still pretty proud of basic collections, every one in the game. That's a cool accomplishment, I think. And when it comes to rare collections, I still have pretty much everything done. You know, Path of Fire added a lot. Path of Fire, though, also added a ton of really easy rare collections, and the developers seem to have forgotten, like, where the bar is. There's a lot of really easy objectives that are classified as rare collections now, and I don't know why. But there are still a few that I don't have. So, the bounty board system in the expansion, if you do legendary bounties, you get a currency you can use to buy these things, funerary weapons. And because I haven't done that much PvE in Path of Fire, I'm still missing 3 funerary weapons. Once I have those, may her name bring a new dawn, I'll have that, and the Path of Fire stuff's done. The other things I'm missing is Super Adventure Box. Super Adventure Box, Super Adventure Box, Super Adventure Box. This is like grinding through Tribulation mode, loads and loads and loads and loads. And as much as I really do like Sab lately, and I've been thinking about Sab a lot lately, and I've got to if you guys follow me on Patreon, you get access to an exclusive selection of videos, what a plug here, where I actually have a full detailed Let's Play of Super Adventure Box up that I'm hoping to put on the main channel soon. I really like Super Adventure Box, but grinding Trib, I have better things to do with my time, and I've not gone for those. Gold Fractals, this will probably surprise you guys, but again, I haven't played too many Fractals for a long time now. You probably look at this. The fact I don't have Grandmaster Golden Arms probably makes me look like a right noob. It really does. But yeah, I don't have it done. I haven't played enough Fractals, particularly in the past year. I've not played enough Fractals. And then finally, you've got Spirit Crafter. This is the final original rare collection. So when rare collections got added, there were like maybe 6 or 7 of them, and they were all like obscenely expensive. They were all like thousands of gold and like way massive time sinks. They were like really, really difficult things to do. I have it all done now except one. There is one remaining from the very beginning, and it's this. It's Spirit Crafter. You actually get a back piece for it as well. But I do have a hammer from it, which I crafted very recently for a Core Guardian. I'll show you in a second, which is a PvP build I've been playing. So, yeah, I did craft my first Spirit Crafter thing, but I have no real ambition to finish that off just yet. So, yeah, that's collections and basic collections. You've got legendaries as well, and, you know, as I've crafted new legendaries, that fills in. It's not really something I think about much. You've got legendary backpacks, hasn't really updated or changed. armor. You got trinkets as well. So this is the newest tier of stuff to do since the new raid for getting the legendary ring. But because the legendary ring itself isn't in the game yet, I haven't had any particular investment in finishing these off. So I'm actually I haven't done that, but that's content for me to play as well that I haven't done. Do you guys see how much content there is to do? And I've actually been pretty hands-off with. And then the last thing as well is specialization collections. So when Heart of Thorns came out, I really cared about these. This is the achievements that give you like the special gear for the elite spec. So bow, right? This Daredevil stuff, yeah? Or when you were getting Dark Harvest, the Reaper's badass greatsword. You can't really see it because of my horrible back piece here. But, you know, these are cool, and they give you good, powerful gear with awesome skins. As far as Path of Fire is concerned, I've only done the Deadeye's Cursed Flintlock and the Weaver's Warp Blade. Those are the two that I've done. And this actually, I remember going into the expansion. This stuff was a high priority for me, and I haven't taken the time to do it. The truth is as well, it's all pretty easy as well. It's like throw a coin in the Mystic Forge, do one map completion, kill a bounty. You know, it's not hard. And I've not, you know, taken the time to sit down and do it. I honestly, if I really wanted to, I could get like a month of solid hours and hours of gameplay in Guild Wars, just rounding out and finishing these achievements off. And do you see what I mean when I said earlier that my 35k isn't actually that impressive? It's because all of this would stack that up significantly, substantially. So yeah, there you go. That's collections. And that's the achievements done. So the next section of the video, I'm going to take you to my roster of characters. What we're going to do here is roll through them, showing them off. I'll actually log into where they are. So my account, first of all, I have a ton of character slots, okay? Loads of them. They just keep scrolling. I've got tons of characters now. There's no exaggeration before when I said I've like at least doubled the number of characters I have. I have far more characters on my account than most people ever will have. Now, the reason for that is because I actually like having a dedicated character for each elite specialization now. And not even that, but also just generally speaking, a different build. So if I want to play Firebrand in PvP, I have a Guardian set up on Firebrand. So this is the new PvP armor, by the way. In the wardrobe section of the video, I skipped over this, but there's a really beautiful set of new badass gear. And like I said, I have all the PvP rewards, so I picked this up. A lot of people ask what this is, and it is gorgeous, isn't it? It's the new PvP stuff. So anyway, I have a Firebrand set up. But not only do I have a Firebrand, I also have a Core Guard ready to go. If I want to log in on Core Guard straight away, I go for that. So I kind of have my PvE characters who I'll do Living World with, and actually all those achievements we were just talking about a second ago. And that'll be like Liss and the characters you're mostly familiar with from watching me on YouTube. But I have a whole other side of characters on my account called the Wardens, right? So they're named after the Kurzik Wardens of Guild Wars 1 lore. So here's one, for example. This is the Warden of Tides. They're all Sylvari. They're just quick characters, all basically like level 1. You see this character's level 15. I level them up to the point where they can wear shoulders for Fashion Wars 2. And what each Warden will be is a build I like the idea of. So and they're not all meta builds, by the way. So if you're a PvPer, you've probably seen a Warden, and you might not think very much of them, because quite often I'm on off-meta weird stuff, and you'll think, oh, he's not playing very well, he's not doing very well. It's because that's kind of my build testing. I'll have a character slot, and I'll throw it on. So this character here is currently a Core Necro build. Core Necro is not meta in any way. But, you know, I'll be looking at variants of that. Or I have a Renegade ready to go. And sometimes it is a meta build. So this one here, this is the Warden of Moons. This Sylvari here is a Daredevil. This is a DP Daredevil. I mean, you could even say DP isn't particularly meta right now. SD is what most people run. And so, yeah, that's why I have so many characters now. It's just that a lot of them are loadouts, basically, because the game doesn't have build templates. I kind of treat each character slot as a build template. And it's a fun thing to do as well, because it's not just a build loadout, it's a cosmetic loadout as well, you know? Like, I actually find myself sometimes playing Core Guard just because I like the way that I've got this character looking. So here, I'll log in on it. And we're here. So the hammer I was talking about, the Spirit Crafter hammer, I'm using that on this character here, right? And so, you know, it's like I can double click and all of a sudden I look like a character that's holding this hammer, looking this way, and has the build set up. And I can do that in a second in a pre-game lobby. You know, and you think about these things like, oh, there's a chain hanging from the bottom of the hammer, so on the focus on the other side, I have him holding a chain, and I have the icy dragon swords. And, you know, we could spend another hour, I suppose, talking about everything I've assigned. And, you know, you can assign each one a title and a glider and, you know, all kinds of different things. And that's kind of a huge amount of my enjoyment, honestly, and why my account now has so many character slots. I was thinking I was going to log in on every single one so you could see all of their backpacks and all their weapons and stuff, but that's probably a really terrible idea, I'm now realizing looking at the timestamp. So, yeah, I will just scroll through very quickly and we'll see what we've got. First of all, there's the Warden of Lights. This is a core guard. We have my old main, my Tempest, Liss. We have Warden of Thoughts. This is a Mesmer. Currently playing a Mirage build, a GS Power Mirage. We have a Firebrand here. This is Shining Blade Guardian. Actually, this was a very old character I made. Shining Blade Guard is actually a character name of a specific type of Shining Blade from Guild Wars 1. So it's representative of its profession, but it's also a reference to the original game. And, you know, it's a human female, as, you know, as we would expect of the Shining Blade. Here I actually have Azuric. So Azuric was my new character I played through Path of Fire as a Weaver. Azuric is a Metroidvania game that really wasn't credited as well as it should have been, I think, when the original Xbox came out. I did a Let's Play on it, and the whole game was about combining elements and stuff, and I feel like a lot of the Weaver feels so much like that, right? And a couple of the devs that worked on that game are actually working on Guild Wars 2. So it just made sense for me to make, you know, that character here. But it's a Weaver that I played Path of Fire on, and then kind of got bored of and didn't touch, because I didn't actually like Weaver gameplay that much for ages, until finally it was repurposed as a side noder in PvP. So, and I actually, on my second channel, I did a video talking about Mender's Weaver and the balance behind it and stuff very recently. And his Fashion Wars is kind of bounty hunter stuff. I actually, more often than not, use the elemental swords on him as a main hand. I've got the Soaring skins on right now. Black Lion, just like I talked about before, you get these full collections. I was using Soaring because the white feathers felt like they matched up pretty well. But, yeah, I like the elemental sword on a Weaver. So yeah, this is actually the guy that I played POF on, and so you'll see he's got all these runes in his inventory because of legendary armor and just swapping the runes around on those. Oh, Binding of Ipos was one of the other legendaries I got. I really like the Binding of Ipos. This was one of the new ones. Really fantastic legendary. I mean, to talk about every item I've collected would just take way too long. The Hydra staff as well. This was one of the early POF staffs, and this thing's freaking awesome. But this isn't a staff build that he plays. That's just from when he was in PvE. I have the Warden of Beasts here. This is a Boon Beast side noder. I have the Engineer hero. So the Fashion Wars and stuff here is pretty bad. But this is a contemporary Scrapper build, which actually isn't really favored very much at the moment, and I kind of wanted to see how good it was and how it feels. It does hit very hard, to be honest, and the devs keep patching Scrapper and trying to make it barrier oriented and stuff. So anyway, this is something I've been playing with a bit, but this is an old mule character that has a lot of weird items. Since novelties got added to the game, there's really not much reason to have mule characters anymore, since so much stuff just gets straight up unlocked. But weird parts of legendary crafting, bag crafting, the new expansion added really big bags. But if you wear these, they get soulbound, and you can't use them to craft the bigger versions, so I just keep them here until eventually I want to craft them up. And weird stuff like the Chromatic Ooze, which never got added as a novelty in the end, but would be kind of fun to see. You know, stuff like that. I do still have a mule character. This is not the only one. I got another one with Tomes of Knowledge on it. But yeah, so the Engineer hero. Then I have my regular Engineer. This is Issa. On the last account tour, this was my first NG, one of the earliest characters I ever played. This is a PvE character that has 100% map completion and whatnot. This character actually has gone through a total makeover kit since the previous collection. That's because in my Let's Play of Guild Wars 2, there's a bug in one of the personal story instances where essentially... I mean, not essentially, this is the facts of the situation. The final cutscene and all the dialogue is just missing. It's just gone. The only way to see it is to make a different character play a different option and, like, splice them together. And in the Let's Play, I did that so that no one would see that that bug was there and that essentially the personal story is very shoddily made. But when I did that, I had to turn this Engineer into looking like my Let's Play Engineer, which was a whole thing. And then once that was done, I wanted to give this one a new look, so it's been total makeover kid. This also, for what it's worth, is my PvP holo, which is meta and actually good. I won't log in on this character. We have the Warden of Moons I talked about, Daredevil for PvP. We have Arachnia. You'll notice a lot of my characters are in Requiem gear here. This is the new release gear. This is not gem store armor or anything like that. It's just because I like it and it's new and I've been playing around with it. This is my PvP Reaper. And, you know, it's a PvE character that I'm gradually building map completion up on for another legendary at some point, I guess. But yeah, we've got her, and there's not much more else to say. This is a new character, the Warden of Tides. This is a character people actually say I did pretty good with the Fashion Wars on. It's supposed to look kind of Largosy, right? So, if I had Nevermore, I'd probably use Nevermore as a part of this. But yeah, this is a Necro that I try particularly weird builds in PvP on. Like, I'll play like a Power Scourge on it as like a Dustlich build, or sometimes I play actually better things, just regular Scourge variants and stuff on it. But yeah, I think she looks pretty cool, and actually I think out of all the characters on my account, this is the one I think I've been most creative with visually over the past year or so. I think she looks pretty badass. Quite often, what I'll do here is, this is the new PvP chest piece, so I get the tentacles and stuff. But the rest of it is different. So, like, it's Sylvari, like, legs, and Twilight Arbor shoulders and whatnot, and just bluey things. And a bit of Requiem mixed in at the same time. But yeah, so this is kind of a new character. If you look at the inventories of these characters, this is all just Winter's Day stuff that they're holding, plus PvP rewards. That's generally how it goes. This next character I made when they revamped Herald this year. Oh, I'm trying to do /talk, but I keep typing /walk. This year they did a revamp to Herald as a specialization, and actually made it, if you build it the right way, extremely tanky through utilizing Jarlis. So I decided to make a dwarf character. Basically, it's a big fat Norn that you can drink the mini tonic on, and with the new novelty system, that's very easy to do. It's just a single keybind and you're away. And yeah, so you get like a really, really tiny character that is massively, enormously tanky. And I tried to make it look like a dwarf as much as possible. I haven't meaningfully used this character for anything except very recently I did the new Snowman raid. Or dungeon, if whatever you want to call it, content for Winter's Day with this character. Aside from that, it's just been an experiment, a PvE exercise in how tanky you can be. And it's a PvE thing, so it's on PvE gear like Nomads, and it's got PvE food and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just ultimately tanky, and that's it, a dwarf. Maybe one day we'll get playable dwarves, who knows? Next expansion, fingers crossed. Next character I won't log in on, we'll keep the pace up here. This is my Thief, this was my second character ever, I think it was. This is the Hellfire character. Chukun Champwat looks really good when you're actually in-game. You guys know how much I love that bow. That was probably in the previous account tour anyway, though. He doesn't look too differently, except now he's got the roller beetle scarf on him, and I don't know, we'll see what we do with that. Next, you've got a Tengu here. Well, it's a Char, but with a Tengu character name, Saw on a Claw. This was a really important, big, cool Tengu character originally. I'm hoping that if the devs ever actually add the Tengu as a race in this game, I can use this name on a real Tengu character. Until then, though, it's just like a PvP Reaper that I play on occasion. Next, we have a Firebrand. So this is actually a DPS Firebrand build. I think currently power DPS, but has in the past been Condi DPS, just as fun experiments. I have my PvE Soul Beast. This is Counselor Yak. You'll notice in the Sunspear outfit, that's from Path of Fire's launch. I haven't played this character for ages. I have a monkey-looking Char. This is on a Mirage build, arguably the most overpowered and ludicrously front-loaded low-skill spec in PvP at the moment. And it's a bit of a joke, you know, everyone calls each other monkeys, and so yeah, I made a monkey character. Again, looks a bit better in game with the back piece. It's got the monkey back piece, you know, with the golden monkey from one of the festivals. He's cool. I have this Warden. This is the original Warden. This is purely the most prestigious PvP armor here. Again, looks better in game. He's got a Santa hat on because it's Christmas. But this is my Fresh Air Ellie, who I'm most known for playing as more of an NA thing, and I haven't played for a while because the build is generally weak, and I don't really have too much fun on it lately. But yeah, there's a Berserker here. This is the Warden of Tremors. This is trying out some Condi Berserker stuff, and actually Power Berserker at times as well. But it's Tremors because it like runs Mace and stuff, and the idea, you know, the Wardens in Guild Wars 1 were of like natural phenomenon. So if I can make it a natural thing like Tides or Tremors or Storms, I'll go with that. And yeah, unfortunately, Condi Berserker is pretty low on the pecking order, so I haven't looked at him for a while. We have the Warden of Spines. This is a renegade that shoots his terrible short bow at people and sees what he can do there. I did absolutely one video on where I tried my best, but ultimately it's not very good. I have my regular Revenant. This guy looks probably exactly the same as you saw him on the previous account tour. This is a PvE character, Shiverpeak Anna Ruck, named after the Marganites and dervishes, and the idea is his original outfit was like the arcane outfit, and he looked like a dervish of the mountains. That was the idea. And I want to be careful about who I mouse through now. This next page, we're going to start seeing Let's Play characters, and I don't want to kind of break the mystique of Let's Play characters for those of you who are still following that at the moment, and the stats of Let's Play characters I'm going to talk about at the end of the series. But this, for example, is one of my Let's Play characters. This is Bract. He has 10% map completion. And, you know, a lot of those details will come up later. So I'll probably leave the character spotlights there and the next page or so of different things. You'll notice some other old favorites like Natalie here. I guess I'll log in on this as the last one on the character rosters. You've seen most of it. So Natalie is a warrior. This is my original warrior character, and originally was just meant to look, you know, basically a joke character that looked a bit like a woman, like a kind of cross-dressing, really burly man. Nowadays, I don't treat him like that, actually. When Path of Fire came out, they added this set of armor. It's War Beast armor. Now, I got this through PvP quite comfortably and easily, but War Beast armor is actually one of the rarest armor sets in the game and can be dyed in some really cool ways. And I have to say, since Path of Fire came out, I'm not really known for making good-looking characters, but whenever I play this warrior, I get inundated with hundreds of comments from people saying, hey, and you know, private messages and stuff, people saying, hey, what is that armor? That looks really badass. It's War Beast armor, and I really recommend people go for it, because it also, if you're doing it through PvE, feeds you into a lot of playtime. When I got this, there was something like only 50 other players in the game that had War Beast armor. Out of the many hundreds of thousands that had picked up the expansion or whatever, there were only a few on efficiency represented actually owning it. Speaking of efficiency, I guess we'll get into that now. Okay, so finally, before we go to efficiency, the last thing I want to show you in-game here is my /age stats. I do this every account tour, usually at the head of the video. We'll do it now. So, I have played now 6 years in, coming up on our 7th year, 7 years of playing this video game. I have dedicated, and I always get embarrassed at this and kind of hate it. And there's out of all the years, there's even more AFKing on the more recent years than any of the others, and I take comfort in that. But over 7 years, I've spent 13,000 hours now covering this game for a living and playing this game as a nerd that's just enjoying himself. So I'm at 13,741 hours. I had that discussion 2 years ago about when you hit the 10k mark. Okay, yeah, I think 2 years ago, didn't I hit 10k? Didn't I have a speech on the previous account tour about how 10,000 hours was when you supposedly become an expert at a skill? Like, if I'd spent all that time playing piano, I would, you know, be some god at it now or something, right? I'm pretty sure I remember on the last account tour, it was right as I ticked to 10k. So in 2 years, I've played about 3,000 hours of the game. Which is quite a lot, honestly, I think. But again, AFKing in there and stuff. Oh, also, I'll note that I have about 7,000 hours in the original. So we are at another prominent landmark in a weird way. Between both games, the franchise in total, I am just about at the 20,000 mark. Oof. This character specifically, just a random ass character on the account, is 451 hours. Yeah, there you have it. All right, now let's close off the video by talking about Guild Wars 2 efficiency. I've mentioned it enough times on the video, but let's go into details about it, shall we? Guild Wars 2 efficiency is a website that you can plug your API keys into, and it will read you stats about your account and your characters, and just throw it up for the world to see and compare to one another. So if I click account here, what you'll see is like an overview and comparison of my account and how it's gone over the years. So there's any number of really exciting and interesting stats I could show you all, and I don't really have a great game plan for this part of the video, which I'm already regretting, actually. But if we look at it, so here's gold value of my account, all right? And what this is basically saying is all the items, all the stuff I have unlocked on my account, everything, is worth 244,000 gold. Imagine it this. Imagine I'd played the game just as much as I always did, but I never bought any items or unlocked anything or did anything with it, and just let my money build up and up and up and up. I'd be at 244,000 gold in my inventory. You can kind of think of it that way, right? Of the items that I could still potentially sell, I could get 5,000 gold straight up, or if I did buy orders, I could get 4,000 gold straight up. And with all of that totaled up, out of everyone who's playing the game, I'm ranked 647. So I am the 647th wealthiest person in Guild Wars 2, basically. And that will fluctuate up and down based on whether I'm crafting legendaries at the moment and making wise or unwise investments. What we can look at here is a timeline of, you know, the months and how my money's gone. And so expanding this so that we can see, you know, the past year. This is all of 2018. What the hell was all this money that I lost here? You can see how my money's going, right? So I lost a ton of money in July of this year. I don't know why. Maybe, was this just before the raid came out? So did I craft a ton of stuff? But then it shot back up. What's probably most interesting, does it let me go further back? What's probably most interesting about this would be to look a little bit earlier. Maybe it's here with this plummet here. I obviously did a really big competition this year, over the past year or year and a half, where we gathered a ton of items from the community, like hundreds of thousands of gold, to do the biggest giveaway, I think, especially community ran giveaway, the game's ever seen. And for that period, I thought I could expand this more. Our account, that was then lots of donated items that wasn't mine, but my own wealth plus the wealth of that competition, I was like top 20 wealth of everyone in the whole game on Guild Wars 2 efficiency, and then we gave it all away again and it just splashed down and it plummeted, and that was kind of an interesting thing. Probably a bit old now. Was that a year ago, or was that even a little bit more than a year ago? Long time, I think. In editing here, I'm pretty sure I was exaggerating with that. Maybe we just broached the top 100. I don't think we got as high as like top 20. I'm pretty sure I was talking openly about it on some streams while it was going on, but I can't remember exactly anymore. Anyway, so here you can see kind of the breakdown of where all the stuff is. I have 8,000 gold in terms of unlocked skins. I have a queen bee that I've been wondering if I should just sell straight up and just pick up a ton of money. Here we've got all my characters, and I kind of don't want you guys to see some of my character names and things, so I'm not going to scroll through that, unfortunately, because I don't want to risk spoilers or have really annoying editing to do on this video, so we'll just sort of leave it there. There are some other cool things we can look at, though. Let's have a look at stats. What we can do is see how we compare on any metric to the rest of the game, any metric at all. So, like, we can basically here see what my rarest X is. So what is my rarest achievement? We can filter by unlocked by player base. And look, the rarest achievement in the game is the Crimson Assassin. Nobody is registered as having that. I guess because that's all the Crimson Super Adventure Box weapons. It's time-gated and it's impossible to do, right? Duo of Destiny is the second rarest achievement. That was for winning the Dwayne's Duo special tournament event that was going on just a couple of weeks ago. So many special things have been going on this year. And only 2 people got that, right? Actually, 4 people should have. 2 on NA and 2 on EU, but I guess some of them aren't registered. Champion Brawler, that's what I was talking about earlier, that I'm 75% of the way to. There's 5 people game-wide that have that are on Guild Wars 2 efficiency. 5. Yeah, so that's why I'm quite proud of that. God of PvP, this is people who have come first place on the leaderboards throughout various seasons. 15 people have ever done that over the 13 seasons. Don't forget you got the 2 regions, so it's actually a potential of 30 or whatever, unless you get repeat players. So you notice a lot of it's PvP stuff is the rarest stuff. And so these is unlocked by me, so I don't have any of this super rare stuff, but I do have keg recoveries, apparently. Only 450 people have keg recoveries. That's my rarest achievement. Pfft, there you have it. I can't believe Versatile is so rare as well. That's that really easy achievement, just to walk into a tournament on each class. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So that's my rarest achievement. My rarest... So cats is a feature in the home instance. I have all the cats. That's not very interesting, is it? We already did a series on that. But here's probably the best one we can go for. Skins. What do we have? Well, a hell of a lot of them. And if I go unlocked by player base and we see the rarest stuff, there's a bugged impossible item to get at the top. Another one here, Iron Fist. The 3 of the World versus World prestige armor. That's very difficult to get. But down here, you've got obsidian stuff. So this is PvP Ascended Shard stuff. I have the full set of this, every single one that's possible. And only 20 people have even picked up the short bow. So I don't know how many people in Guild Wars 2 have the whole set. I suspect it's only me. but maybe someone else out there has every single obsidian weapon. In fact, here in-game, just to show you and brag for a second, what you're looking at here, this full set, when we go to the short bow, there's only 30 people who did the short bow section. I'm one of them. How many people did all of the sections? I don't know. But this here, and finishing this off, this was like one of my main projects over the year. And one of the most fun things for me to do. And all these are like ascended item weapons I now don't really use and are just sitting around in my bank and cluttering space, essentially. And, well, I just spent a little while that I've edited out there trying to find other interesting things to show on efficiency. But since we are getting to about 2 hours long in the video, and I think we've done a reasonable breadth there, with that, I'll conclude the account tour. There you go, guys. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This is the end of 2018 account tour. If a lot of really fascinating and awesome things have happened with Guild Wars 2 over the next 12 months, you might see I do another account tour next New Year's. That could be kind of cool, but the way things are looking, we don't necessarily have an expansion due next year, do we? They said that they were going Season 4 into Season 5. Who knows what's in store with Guild Wars and how many more objectives there are. But if I find that there's something really awesome to talk about and, you know, some extra progress, I'd definitely like to do one maybe prematurely. But yeah, this won't be the last of these. There will certainly be more to come. That's my account tour. Thank you so much. It's been a long video if you got all the way here. And can I just say as well, if you have your own YouTube channel or Twitch account, or even if you don't have one, if you make your own account tour, I would be over the moon. Feel free to link one another's account tours down in the comments. The first time I did this, so many people started doing their own account tours, and I always enjoy watching them. So, yeah, that would be really, really awesome. I'd love to see the comparisons. I'm sure I fell behind several other people out there, and it'll be cool to see what you guys have favored and really gone for in this, you know, enormous product where what you get out of it and what you go for is going to be so specific to you because there's such a vast range of things now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you for another video next time. Happy New Year's.